Welcome to Catholic News World.
Welcome to Catholic News World. Please subscribe to our channel. My name is Steph. Here are this week's breaking news headlines.
Reports indicate that at least 154 people have been killed and at least 133 others were injured following a crash event at a Halloween party in South Korea. The event occurred around a hotel in Itaewon Station. Thousands of people were in costumes, many were in their teens or early 20s. Pope Francis prayed for the victims after his Sunday Angelus, saying, "And let us pray to the risen Lord also for those, especially the young, who died in Seoul, as a tragic consequence of a sudden crowd surge." The Catholic bishops of Korea offered this statement. "We entrust to God's mercy the victims who unfortunately lost their lives in the tragedy that took place in Itaewon, Seoul on Saturday, October 29, 2022. In addition, we offer our deepest condolences to the bereaved families, and we also pray for the speedy recovery and peace of the wounded. We must strive to break the cycle of injustice and irresponsibility that has become a common practice in this society. To do this, we must first be faithful to our respective roles. In particular, for the peace and safety of the people, the relevant authorities must thoroughly examine the cause and process of this tragedy, and ensure that irresponsibility and oblivion are not repeated. I hope that there will be no more sacrifices from many people, especially young people. Human life and dignity are the most precious values, and nothing in our society can take priority over it. In God, who is the author of life and the source of mercy, the Catholic Church in Korea prays for the victims of this tragedy, and promises to share the pain of the bereaved and walk together." Bishop Robert Barron of the Diocese of Winona-Rochester in Minnesota pledges to reconsecrate its cemetery after vandalism on Halloween. His statement says, "On Halloween night, Calvary Cemetery in Rochester was vandalized. Several graves and the columbarium were covered with hateful and obscene graffiti. On this Feast of All Souls, when the Church honors our beloved dead, I would like to express my outrage at this desecration and my assurance of prayers for the families of those whose final resting places were so dishonored. The Diocese of Winona-Rochester will cooperate with the police in assuring that those responsible are brought to justice. Cemetery staff is working diligently to repair the damage and restore the grounds, and once their task is completed, I pledge to bless and reconsecrate this sacred space. May the souls of the faithful departed through the mercy of God rest in peace." Pope Francis is in Bahrain and was welcomed at the royal palace by King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa for a historic trip as the first pope to visit the country. The Pope made his 39th apostolic journey abroad on November 3, 2022, in a visit to Bahrain. He received a welcome at the airport, then was warmly welcomed by King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa of Bahrain at the Sakir Royal Palace. The Holy Father then met with local authorities, representatives of civil society, and members of the diplomatic corps. There are approximately 1.5 million people living in Bahrain, with about 161,000 Catholics from abroad. These faithful are served by 2 Catholic churches and 20 priests, according to the 2020 Vatican statistics. The Pope is visiting the Kingdom of Bahrain from the 3rd–6th of November. During this period, he addressed the Bahrain Forum for Dialogue, a conference that focused on the theme, East and West for Human Coexistence. Over 200 religious leaders from various parts of the globe attended the conference. The rest of the 4-day apostolic journey saw Pope Francis meeting privately with the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, holding an audience with members of the Muslim Council of Elders, and attending an ecumenical meeting and prayer for peace in the Cathedral of Our Lady of Arabia. Notably, the Pope exclaimed, "God is the source of peace. May He enable us to be channels of His peace everywhere." Other highlights of the Pope's visit include the celebration of Holy Mass for the country's Catholic population and a meeting with young people, as well as the local bishops, priests, consecrated persons, seminarians, and pastoral workers. The Holy Father is scheduled to return to Rome on November 6. A bridge in India had been closed for maintenance work and was reopened when it collapsed, killing 141 people. The Catholic Church is in the front line in providing aid. The local Archbishop Thomas McQuinn said, "Even in this tragedy we will be witnesses of God's love through our apostolate of service." Asia News reports that a pedestrian suspension bridge over the Mushchu River collapsed in the city of Morbi, western Gujarat state. Meanwhile, search operations continue for those missing in the river. Rescuers have so far rescued 177 people. According to reports, several people were marching on the bridge for the Hindu festivities of Diwali and Chath Puja. The bridge, which is over a century old, is a well-known tourist attraction in India and had been closed for maintenance work, but had apparently not yet received a certificate of fitness from the municipality when it was reopened. I am deeply saddened by the tragic loss of life in this disaster. So many people have lost their lives, families have lost their loved ones, everyone has lost a son, a daughter, a mother or a father. There is so much suffering, it is a terrible accident. It should never have happened, said Archbishop Thomas McQueen. The church in Gujarat has always intervened in relief operations in times of disasters and calamities by sending its own personnel. Christians are 0.5% of the population in Gujarat and Catholics 0.25%, but the Catholic Church has always been in the front line, without discrimination of caste or creed. Even in this tragedy, we will be witnesses of God's love through our apostolate of service, the Archbishop added. The U.S. Catholic bishops issued a statement after Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked in his home. A man broke into House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's California home on Friday and attacked her husband with a hammer just as police arrived at the home. The suspect in custody was identified as 42-year-old David D. Pape, San Francisco Police Chief William Scott said at a news conference. Our officers observed Mr. Pelosi and the suspect both holding a hammer, Scott said. The suspect pulled the hammer away from Mr. Pelosi and violently assaulted him with it. Paul Pelosi was taken to a local hospital, where he underwent surgery to repair a skull fracture and serious injuries to his right arm and hands. His doctors expect a full recovery. Archbishop Jose Gomez of Los Angeles, president of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, offered the following statement. I join with Archbishop Cordileone in offering my prayers for the full recovery of Paul Pelosi and comfort for his family following the terrible attack that occurred earlier this morning. I am deeply grieved over this violence, which should have no place in our communities, our political process, or our great nation. May Our Lady of Perpetual Help intercede for us, provide healing, and guide us to paths of peace.
Watch our programme every Friday at 7:30 p.m. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to Catholic News World channel. God bless.
Please subscribe to Catholic News World's YouTube channel. Thanks and God bless.